Well, Health Minister Dr. Zweli Mkhize has been placed on special leave by President Cyril Ramaphosa, as you've just heard. Mkhize being at the center of a controversial contract involving his department and communications company Digital Vibes. The Special Investigating Unit is currently probing Mkhize's role in that particular tender, and of course it's been alleged that his family trust and his son have benefited from the funds from that company, which was ran by his former colleagues. Well, let's explore this issue further. I'm joined by our politics editor, Zbungalwa, and political analyst, Professor Lisiba Defo, tonight. Perhaps, Professor Defo, I certainly hope that you can hear me loud and clear, but let's begin with your own reflections on today's development. It seemed to all happen so quickly, all at the same time. Can we really say it was unexpected, though, given the fact that there's been talk about how this issue was going to move forward? What seemed to be clear is the fact that the president could not afford to not do anything about the health minister.
And kudos to civil society. Kudos to the people of South Africa who have at last come to accept that their destiny is in their own hands. It is politicians in the main who cause problems for society, and it is only fair to accept that it cannot be them expected to solve the problems. So I'm saying for the president, yes, better too late than it's never too late to do the right thing, but generally it's a bit too slow to decide and to act, and he gets at times compromised, weakened and vitiated by his opponents and detractors, because he should have acted on this for quite some time. I mean, there's ample evidence that even the Zondo Commission does suggest that where necessary, please step in, don't wait for me, and act on those things that really can engender confidence in the Commission and also in state organs that are charged with ensuring that good governance and the laws of the land are upheld.
Zbu, is Professor Defo right? Does this earn the president a brownie point, if I can put it that way?
Look, I think it's a temporary reprieve. It does not take away the pressure from the president, because there is still an outstanding report of the Special Investigative Unit, and we do understand that that report will be ready by the end of the month. And Kathy, I make the point that there is a case which is not quite the same, but similar in a way, which was the Gauteng case of MEC Bandile Masuku, who was found to have been negligent. And that case hinged on him having not read or purported or claiming not to have read an email that mentioned in fact some of the beneficiaries of the PPE deals. He took that on review and he lost. Now we have a health minister who, if you look at the circumstances, it's actually, I think it's much more serious than a Bandile Masuku case, because here my understanding is that the minister is the one who signed the contract, but also that is also the case that the Democratic Alliance has brought, has taken, that is the basis of the case by the Democratic Alliance. The big question now is, can the SIU find differently in this case, given the facts that are in front of them? So the president might, in any case, he had no choice. And in the minister taking special leave, really it is only just a temporary reprieve. But also if you look at the replacement, which is Minister Mamuloko Kubai Ngubane, suggests that the president is actually has not decided on who his permanent appointment is. In fact, there is nothing that shouts temporary than the appointment of Minister Mamuloko Kubai as acting health minister.
Professor Defo, I want to talk about precedent here, because Boo is referencing the issue of Bandile Masuku. Are we moving into a terrain where we are going to see public officials being held a lot more accountable than we have before? Because now that the Minister of Health has been suspended, what else becomes of members of President Cyril Ramaphosa's cabinet who themselves have been implicated in all sorts of wrongdoing? And we can just point to the State Capture Commission of Inquiry for evidence of that. Will there be an expectation that it should not stop with the health minister?
I'll respond to that. One, I think I want to go back to the point I made earlier. Here, it takes rather too long to decide and to act. Somehow, at least some steam was taken out of his decision. Because earlier in the day, Zweli said, I approached the president and I said, I want to step down. And one could say, when and why did it take that long for the decision to be taken, right? So, yes, the communication therefore is an issue. The second point made by the earlier colleague, before I come to a point, is remember, the deputies, ironically, deputy ministers don't deputize the ministers. That as per the Constitution of the Republic of South Africa. What a contradiction in terms. Are they not a redundant lot? Otherwise, Joe Pata would have been the right person just to sit in the interim, because you cannot appoint as the matter is going on. But, you know, one of the reasons why I am a bit sympathetic to the president is that there are so many. I have only three that come into mind, ministers, who civil society has a reason after this one to zero in on, and I suspect they're going to do that. On numerous occasions, a lot was said about the Minister of Defense for several years, and nothing happened. And I don't think this time around, society will say it's good to close an eye and concentrate on Magashule or on Zweli. Then you have, I think, Ayanda Donlo. Then you have also a buddy of the president. In the same way, I considered Zweli to be his buddy, or at least a closer ally and comrade. Gwede Mantashe. Either way you want to look at it, but a lot has been said around and about him, especially in the recent past.
Of course, and that's really where the conversation goes to next, is that how do you decide where action is appropriate and where action is not appropriate? Because if we just use the examples that Professor Defo has labeled there, the Deputy State Security Minister, Zizi Kodwa, the Minerals and Energy Minister, Gwede Mantashe, the allegations against them are equally damaging. So why would it make sense to put the minister on special leave, or he's asked for the special leave, at least that's what we have on the record? What about the others?
Actually, that's an important point, Kathy. In fact, one would expect that at some stage the president would take the nation into his confidence to understand what his conversation has been with those officials, which is the Deputy Minister of State Security, Zizi Kodwa, and also the Minister of Minerals, Gwede Mantashe. But I think we should move away, we should avoid the whataboutism, which has been the basis of the argument coming up mostly from some of the supporters, for instance, of Ace Magashule, and also those who are saying that Dr. Zweli Mkhize is being targeted, to say, what about these ones, what about the other one? The point here is that we've got prima facie evidence and some admissions coming from the minister himself that the monies were paid to his son's company. He says he has nothing wrong, he has done nothing wrong. But more than anything, this is the Department of Health, which is rolling out COVID-19 vaccine program, a vaccine program which, by its nature, given the skepticism and some of the doubts in the minds of many South Africans, including the disinformation, at the very least requires a political head who can inspire confidence, and a political head who also commands the respect of his peers, but also the industry. And I think part of the disappointment in the Zweli Mkhize matter is the fact that Minister Zweli Mkhize embodied that, and there was a higher level of expectation from him. I mean, we do not generally, we're very cynical when it comes to politicians, as being seen to be acting in a moral fashion. But I do think that part of the disappointment in Zweli Mkhize had to do with that. It is also worth mentioning that the cases of Gwede Mantashe and Zizi Kodwa are slightly different, in that Zizi Kodwa is accused of having received money while he was sitting at Luthuli House 2-3 years ago, not when he is a minister in government. Yes, he still has to answer. He still has to go to the Integrity Commission of the ANC. In Gwede Mantashe's case, there's an allegation by a losing bidder in the Independent Power Producers Procurement Program that there was a meeting with some officials, including the DG of the department and a fixer known to have ties to Mandasha. Mandasha is denying it. So I guess there's a larger burden of proof and there's more that can be done. But I think that we should not be distracted by such. And in as much as those questions are out there in terms of the media, having done a good job in exposing those, the answers, we'll have to get those answers. And I do believe that, as Professor Tifo is making the point, civil society will continue to demand those answers. And the president has been on an anti-corruption crusade, and I'm sure he must be able to give us those answers.
Professor Tefo, let me wrap it up with you then. Looking forward to the next steps, we had the health minister again yesterday vehemently denying that he had held a meeting with regional leaders in KZN and had also said that he was being targeted because he was, seen as a threat to the incumbent when it comes to the next conference of the ANC. How aware do you think President Ramaphosa is of this, and do you get a sense at all that that might be guiding or informing his decision-making right now?
It does take a rather too long a time to act, and his detractors get an upper hand. Why would people in Natal choose to lie about the circumstances as they are? That he said what he said. Well, as an African on the African continent, by the way, I wouldn't be surprised. I will give Zweli the benefit of the doubt. But the tendency amongst my own, when they are in trouble, is always to revert to the tribe and mobilize along ethnic affiliation. Hence, my sense that whatever it is, the man harbors presidential ambitions, and his small cabinet, kitchen cabinet, might have advised him. You are so close to the victor's cup. Don't give in. Dig your heels. Rather die with your boots on than just to succumb, because at least the State House is beckoning. The lights are visible. That's my thinking. I may be wrong, but I think the president takes rather too long, and his detractors may get an upper hand.
Professor Lisiba Tefo, let me thank you for your time tonight. Our politics editor, Spungalwa, in studio.